Let's just say if me and Owen Clark were ever in a band for band, like, I would probably win. And you know I'ma fuck your bitch. You know it. As a rage bait connoisseur, I will tell you guys.
Scrolled across one of his posts and it really pissed me off. It was like,
yo, what the fuck is up? It's Lincoln Climbs, bitch. Welcome back to the Rage Cage. Today, I just smoked a fat bowl, and we're gonna be reviewing the most serious podcast to come out about me yet. The last have been trolls by dweebs such as Alex Arnold and Jody Townsend. But today, a major organization is attacking me, and I feel very attacked. This organization is called the American Alpine Club. One time I was in Boulder hanging out with my friend Will Moss. His friend called him and was like, yo, I'm going to an American Alpine Club party. And I was like, sick, let me come. And then Will was like, no, you can't come. You definitely can't come. And so that hurt my feelings a little bit, but...
You're listening to the American Alpine Club podcast, your guide to the climbing community.
My guide to the climbing community.
We have adventure writer Owen Clark on the pod to talk about rage bait and how it's showing up in climbing media and culture. Recently, he covered rage bait for an article on climbing.com where he dove into a case study of the free soloist Lincoln Knowles. Dive in to hear from this expert about why rage creates engagement.
Bro is a rage bait expert. If anyone's a rage bait expert, it's me, okay? Not this fucking guy. This guy does not know how to rage bait. Or maybe he does, because I have been thoroughly enraged. He's rage baited me successfully. Before we start, I want to give some context about Owen. Basically what happened was that he asked me to do an interview. It was super chill. Interview went good. He published a kind of not nice article, which was like, you kind of have to expect it. He seems like a pretty nice guy, so let's not fuck with him too much.
Lends itself to evolving into rage bait, the unique elements of climbing rage bait specifically, and why rage bait has evolved from short form media. It's presented by Patagonia, proudly supported by Adidas 510.
I got into climbing when I was like 10 or 11, and he gave me a book of John Long's stories, which included, the first ascent of the nose in a day.
So one of my podcasts that's coming out is actually with John Long. John Long makes a small guest appearance. This dude's obviously a fan of John Long, and John Long's my homeboy, so take that, bitch. We're going to skip his fucking backstory. I don't give a single fuck.
The next year I was their intern, and I kind of...
Okay, so today I wanted to talk...
Okay, now we're getting into the meat of why they brought him on, which is to talk about me.
You about rage bait, because this is one of those concepts that like a lot of people might be familiar with because it's part of their internet engagement. Like it's kind of a thing that exists in culture in the world, but there isn't actually that much, cultural commentary on it yet, except that you wrote an article about that concept and about a specific example of rage bait in the climbing world.
My definition is that it's content designed to enrage people. To get a reaction.
Wow, great take.
One thing that I would like to say about rage bait is that it's inherently shallow. It's only a short form content phenomena, right? There's no such thing as a rage bait essay or a rage bait film or novel or...
There is such thing as a rage bait essay or a rage bait novel. And I have written many. Bro has no idea what rage bait is. And as a rage bait connoisseur, I will tell you guys that rage bait can take place accidentally, purposefully. It can take place over many days and months. Someone can have an entire character that's basically just rage bait personified. And there's different levels to rage bait where it's like, if you write an article about rage bait designed to enrage the person who made the rage bait, then maybe you're rage baiting the rage baiter.
Okay, so you know a ton about one of the main prominent examples of rage bait because you wrote an article about it. Can you tell us a little bit about who Lincoln Knowles is and why you first were attracted to writing about this article about him?
I wanted to write the article about him because his rage bait worked on me. I scrolled across one of his posts and it really pissed me off. It was like he was on top of a cliff dancing, and it was like playing off some viral trend at the time. And the caption was, I just free soloed the hardest or longest sport route in America. Venmo me, something along those lines. And I was just really angry.
I feel like if you get angry at that, then you're probably not very mature. And maybe I'm immature for making it also. But like, if you see any type of social media post and you get actually viscerally angry, then maybe social media isn't for you.
A lot of the people commenting like me were angry, but also some of the most liked comments were clearly like people who didn't know what they were talking about. They were people being like, oh, this guy's coming for Alex Honnold's title for free soloing icon, or whoa, this is the most badass thing that's been done in climbing history, or, you know, they were just takes that were.
Well, it is arguable. Like, is free soloing squash truck more impressive or free soloing El Cap? Like, theoretically, like, squash truck is probably harder in some ways, you know? No, better. I'm better. He's Charmander and I'm Charizard.
A type of content that is reaching an audience that is new to the sport and doesn't really understand, you know, has no frame of reference, right? So I kind of wanted to, I don't know, that's what got me interested in talking to him and reaching out to him and for an interview and writing the story.
Well, I would think that most people in the world don't have a frame of reference for what is good in climbing. And even if you ask like another outdoor sport athlete about climbing, the most they can tell you is free solo. Like, they don't know shit, bro. So for you to assume that the average Instagram user knows anything about the context of rock climbing is like kind of, you think that climbing is bigger or more important than it is, when really it's like a very small part of the world.
All of Lincoln Knowles' rage bait is very built around his free soloing. Can you tell us a little bit more about like?
Not true. One time I made a rage bait video of me wearing a helmet at a bouldering gym. So that wasn't free soloing at all. So take that.
The bigger tropes there.
Yeah. I mean, I think one, and again, like I wrote this article 2 months ago, and I think I interviewed him more. That's probably was midsummer. So it's been a while, and I looked at some, like, he's a guy very much who is fairly young, and his content strategy is kind of, in my impression, you know, throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. So I don't know, you know, it's not like he's doing the same stuff now that he was doing then necessarily, and I haven't kept up with him a ton. His page seems a little different than it used to be, but at the time that I wrote the story, his big thing was, I'm free soloing a harder route every day until I fall. Or at least those were some of the reels that were getting the most traction. You know, it was about him essentially saying he was free soloing hard stuff and pretending to not be in control. There was a lot of stuff of him like, I'm smoking a doobie on the wall, or I'm, you know, free soloing in a storm. Just essentially like, I'm being really dumb and I'm in a dangerous situation, and look how much risk I'm willing to accept, you know. And then he was getting a lot of engagement, right? Because there was a lot of people that were like, this is so dangerous, young man, don't do this. And then there was a lot of people that were pissed off. And then there was a lot of like teenage boys that were saying, this is so awesome, this is so impressive, you know, and all those, disparate voices.
And also not teenage boys, teenage men, 20-year-old, 30-year-old men were also saying it's awesome, because most people don't know about climbing. They have no idea what's happening. Okay, so for you to say that only teenage boys see someone doing something dangerous and risky, like, it appeals to every audience.
Coming together to fuel just a ton of comments and a ton of shares, and I mean, he blew up, I think, off of that.
And when you were talking to him, can you tell us a little bit about like his internal processes? Like, why was he doing that? Like, is this an actual way to make money, and what is the economics behind that?
Yeah, I don't know. And I want to be careful about trying to pretend like I know too much about what his motivations are. I think, you know, what he told me at the time was he wanted to make a living doing climbing. And he had tried, and I didn't mention this in the article, but he had tried to be a guide. And there's a couple of interviews online that he did, or at least one where he kind of was interviewed about his little guiding business he tried to start, and it never went anywhere. And, you know, he had tried a couple things, and he'd been making videos a long time. And I think, some of his stuff started to go viral, and he started seeing that this was working. And he told me at the time that he was able to make a full-time living off of his videos. I don't know what that means. You know, not like he shared his financial records with me or something. I don't know how much he's making or whatever. But yeah, between his YouTube and Instagram at the time we talked.
Let's just say if me and Owen Clark were ever in a band for band, like, I would probably win. And I'm not saying for sure I would win, but I'm saying if I had to bet on who would win, I would bet on myself. And then I would make even more money and go band for band again because I would win the money from the bet.
Was able to apparently make a living with these videos. And I don't know if that's, he had a Patreon, and people obviously will, sponsor you on Instagram if you like promote their product in your videos. So there's ways to make money doing it. And yeah, I mean, what he told me is his goal is to make money and to climb and to make money in some way that was related to climbing.
Yeah. And I think that maybe to like really step back and look at something more big picture, what you said earlier about actually a lot of people engaging with his content aren't necessarily climbers, or there's some indication that there may be like people who aren't as familiar with climbing and like can show that through the way they're commenting and like using language around climbing, maybe like just are less familiar with the sport, are really attracted to really risky depictions of climbing like this. But also just generally what you were saying earlier about action sports media and its origins and what it's trying to do with shock value. Can you tell us a little bit about your theory there about maybe just risk and the portrayal of risk and shock value in general?
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right that, people who don't understand climbing are inherently more attracted to just the raw risk of it as opposed to the difficulty, right? No one really, I mean, you can go set up Burden of Dreams in a gym and video somebody climbing it, and no one's going to care about that if they don't know about climbing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that, I mean, like we said earlier, Lincoln is probably the most prominent big example of rage bait in climbing that's come up so far. There's been a couple other smaller ones before him, but he's the one that's gone the most viral. But I think rage bait is, an offshoot of this bigger trend of shock value, which is inexorably linked to action sports media from the very beginning. I mean, we can go back to, from Alex Honnold, Dean Potter, Dan Osman, all the way back. As long as people have been climbing on film or have been promoted, there's been media documenting what they're doing. Some element of what they've been trying to do is, shock the audience or do risky things. I think
and that applies even to climbers that are very well developed in the sport. Like people in Yosemite would come up to me who like clearly were experienced climbers and talking about stuff like Dan Osman speed soloing and doing the double dyno on Lover's Leap or the rope jumps, or like people in general are attracted to risky or things that seem risky, or maybe like things that would be risky if not for like a high level of skill. So it's not confusing that a video about free soloing where the risk is exaggerated in Free Solo, the actual movie, the risk is exaggerated also. Like that's part of the action sports thing, is that if you are under exaggerating the risk, it's not going to be successful, which is kind of sad. But like, if you're trying to appeal to a everyday audience, that's what's going to get their attention, because there is a way higher element of risk than they've seen before in their life. So yeah, I mean, skydiving and wingsuit jumping and parkour is like a perfect example.
It's really tied in there. So I think, shock value, the goal is just to freak people out and to make them, scared for you or scared for themselves. I mean, we all have these kind of visceral reactions when we watch someone free soloing, right? Everybody's like, oh, my palms are sweating. It's hard not to watch this stuff and not feel some sort of reaction.
My arms are
and
heavy.
I think, rage bait.
Mom spaghetti.
Because rage bait is a phenomenon that grew out of the modern media landscape, which requires engagement. 20 years ago, people just had to go buy the video or, pay for the Real Rock tour and go watch it. They didn't need to engage for the content to go viral, right? But now we have all these people that don't have they have to market their content through engagement. And so just pure shock value doesn't work anymore because there's no hook. There's no like catalyst for people to comment. I mean, if you see something really scary on Instagram, it might freak you out and you might comment, I think this is scary, but it's not, you're way less likely to do that, than you are if something pisses you off. And so I think, yeah, that's where rage bait comes from. It's people trying to figure out the easiest way to get comments and shares and engagement.
It's not easy,
on
okay? It's
content.
actually hard work. And It's really hard work. My life's really hard. Rage baiting is a full-time job, and it's really stressful, honestly, guys. So please show some sympathy. We got the elevator music. Bro, another ad? We're fucking 17 minutes in. What the fuck?
In the larger scheme outside of climbing, I've seen a lot of rage bait related stuff on political topics. Because
hey, I'm not trying to get political here, okay, guys? But this is who I voted for. Ready?
But something about death-defying performance is just super relatable. And also, like as you were saying earlier, super maybe triggering for older folks or anybody who's just like, anybody who has a real strong sense of self-preservation. You're like, why would you do that to yourself? The rage bait we're talking about is much more about just like somebody's, like the way that they're choosing to like act and move in the world.
Yeah, so like me going out and free soloing and making a video about it, how can that possibly be rage bait when it's literally just what I'm doing and then I post what I'm doing? Like if I'm just posting myself and people are calling it rage bait, that's like saying that I'm a professional full-time, like everything I do is rage bait basically. I'm just doing things to piss people off, which is obviously not true. I'm doing them because they're fun and I like to do them and because it's, I mean, now it's my job, I guess, so. But anyway, it seems kind of like if someone's like, yo, you could never be a professional basketball player, and then you train and you become a professional basketball player to make them mad, are you also rage baiting? These are good questions for us to think about, guys.
Lincoln and some of the people that have popped up in the last couple of years are probably the first raw, like blatant example of rage bait. But I even think I think there actually has been, like Rock and Ice magazine used to do this thing called Weekend Whipper, where I don't know if you're familiar, but like every week they'd have a video of somebody whipping off a fall or off a climb, and it would be shared. And it was like one of the most popular things that the magazine did. And there was, an element of rage bait involved in that content strategy, right? Because I think most of the people engaging with the Weekend Whipper were like condemning the person in the video for doing something wrong. Like half of the comments on every Weekend Whipper video is like about them not wearing a helmet if they're not wearing a helmet, or the belayer, short roping the guy or whatever. It's, I mean, people love to, in climbing, I think there's this long history of mentorship and kind of this insiders club that you had to, come up and be taught these certain knots or these certain techniques. And there's all these rules that you have to follow to be safe on the wall. And climbing has this long history of that. And I think in the last like 10, 20 years, as gym culture's exploded and as there's like all these people coming in that aren't going through that same kind of initiation process.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there.
I never went through the initiation process. I initiated myself via YouTube videos about how to place gear and how to multi-pitch climb. And I was taught the basics of climbing technique by my coaches, but I was not ever taught anything about outdoor climbing except for myself. So maybe that's why I have a different perspective on it than these old heads, bruh.
That get kind of riled up by that. A lot of old heads, for lack of a better term.
Oh, he said old heads too.
Want to apply these like rules onto the climbers that aren't that they see on the internet or whatever. I mean, I saw that on Weekend Whipper all the time, or even in articles. I read a lot of like accident report articles or whatever, and all the engagement on those is like people, that they did this wrong, they did this wrong. Oh my God, how stupid are they? They need to, or if it's a search and rescue, they need to pay for their rescue. They're so irresponsible.
Bro, outdoor climbing is so toxic, I feel like. And especially like dangerous climbing, because if you do something wrong, then people just shit on you. And even if you do something right and get away with it, people will be like, this is super dangerous. But then people do it and then don't post about it all the time. So yeah, honestly, just go outside, touch grass, guys.
People can say it comes from a good place, right? Like I think a lot of people would hear that and they'd be like, well, I'm concerned for their safety, and everyone should wear a helmet because, it's the best way to be safe when you're leading. And maybe that's true, but I think there's also a part of it that's disingenuous. I think a lot of us like to, you
like to be right.
Like
you like to be the God that saves these mere mortals from their dangerous acts that they know not what they do. And if you're commenting on a video of someone free soloing, being like, bro, please, like, I care about you. Don't do this. Like, you feel good about yourself because you feel like nice, you're angelic, but really you're just a dick. Fuck you. So yeah, or people will be like, bro, like, this is going to turn you into a pile of red mush. But I don't, like, someone commented fucking like, you're going to die within the next couple of days, probably. Be careful, broski. It's like, you're not trying to be my friend, bro. You're trying to threaten me and scare me out of climbing.
Tutoring someone else.
Yeah. And honestly, another prong of that is like the other most clear example of like rage bait in climbing social media that I've seen is related to grades, which is another thing that we love to have opinions about. Because I've definitely seen videos, and this is like more like dispersed and not a single person creating these videos, but I've definitely seen like there's a trend of people like posting like, oh, like earnestly, I did my first like V4 in the gym, and like here's this video of a V4, and somebody will be like V2 in my gym. And then I've also seen videos of somebody clearly climbing. Clearly, it's not like you can see the tag is different in the video, and they're saying it's a V10 and it's actually something else. And then people are like really enraged that they're like lying about what grade it is or something like that. And so like those people are similarly like trying to get a rise. And like there's tons of comments, right? Like they're just like, people are so invested in like correcting others about what grade something is.
Yeah.
And they fall into the trap of the rage bait. And so there's like a kind of a dichotomy there, because like on
trapped.
some level people should be able to earnestly post whatever they're like excited and accomplished about. But at the same time, when you're intentionally subverting that with like, well, you know, like videos of like the things that you're saying is one thing is actually another. I don't know.
Yeah. And, you know, going back to Lincoln, I think that like I don't have as much of a problem with that, like someone, you know, clearly climbing a V2 and then just saying it's a V10. And I mean, if you're going to get upset about that, like, I don't know, that's kind of your fault for caring. But with Lincoln, there was this kind of interesting push and pull where he, at least from what he told me, he did kind of want to be taken seriously as a climber. Like he saw himself as somebody who had aspirations to do some like serious soloing and to do some hard stuff. And then I just don't, I think he kind of shot himself in the foot by, I don't think you can be an athlete and also have everything say like, you know, oh, everything I post is ironic, it's all a joke, or some of it's not. Some of these solos actually are hard and real. Some of them are just jokes, and you have to parse through, audience, and tell me and figure out what's real and what's not. You know, I don't think you can do that.
I think you can do that. And I've been doing that, and it's kind of working. So, but you're right to a sense. Like eventually if I post enough V2s and say they're V10s, then I would do an actual V10. People are going to be like, well, is this one actually a V2? But if you're smart, you know it's a V10. Like I'm basically holding my audience accountable and asking them to be smart about what's happening and use common sense to figure out if what I'm doing is actually impressive or not. And if you can't do that, then, but I think that climbers also like to pretend to be smart and have this intellectual side. So I don't know. I think that people will grade what how hard they think it is based on how strong they think you are in your previous accomplishments anyway. And I mean, Andrew Bisharat watched my drunk bouldering video and was like, this is impressive. He's bouldering hard and he's drunk. So he thinks I'm strong. So I think that each video you post, especially people who may not know the context or haven't seen the other videos, like if I posted a video of me free soloing El Cap, like people are gonna glaze me regardless type shit. Like you can't really take away from that accomplishment just because I've posted rage bait before.
You can be a satire page and you can just post junk trash, or you can, you know, you can want to make it as a climber and do hard stuff and present it accurately, you know? And I think if to the extent that Lincoln wanted to do both, I think that's just, you're never going to make it that way, you know?
What does make it mean? Because I've already made it in the sense of becoming a professional climber. So I don't really know what he's trying to say, but like, I also have a lot of non-climbers who think my shit is impressive either way. But if I'm trying to prove something to the climbing community, all I have to do is do something that's hard. It's really not that complicated, I feel like. And if you want to delude yourself that it's actually not that hard because I did it, that's fine, like whatever. But like some things are objectively hard, and if you do them, then you're objectively good at climbing.
Get lost in the middle. And so, yeah, I think that's worth like considering.
On some level, that is why rage bait is so enraging, is like when we already have a crisis of like truth and accuracy at large in American culture. And so when you play with that and then
American culture is crazy. I think that we have always had a crisis of truth and accuracy throughout all of time through any culture. And to say that just America is kind of weird, but I mean, nothing has ever been as accurate or truthful as it is right now because we have more information available. But also, like these wives' tales and like fictional rumors are going to be passed around either way, and they always have been. Like, imagine sitting around the campfire as a caveman and being told that fucking Gertrude got like railed by 2 mammoths yesterday type.
And some of this I want you to take seriously. People are going to be like, well, you already blindsided me earlier. Like, how am I supposed to take this seriously now?
Yeah, if you're an idiot, you would think that. But if you are smart and you use logic, then maybe you would say,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
I think I get why a lot of people go to rage bait, because it's coming from everywhere. Everybody's doing it now. It's like nothing matters. Everything's a joke. If you take it seriously and get pissed off, then you're lame. You got to stick up your ass. You got to chill out, you know? And I think what I was trying to do in my article was to make the case that we all do have some control over the content we choose to post. Like, I get it. We all want to market ourselves. Like, every article I write has to have a headline that's catchy enough for people to click on it. And, you know, I want people to look at my Instagram too, right? But like, we can choose how much we lean into that. We don't have to go pedal to the metal into just trying to get as much engagement as possible and completely, you know, sell out all of our.
Hey, go big or go home. I mean, this dude, his titles are obviously trying to be engaging. Let's look at some of them. But like, what level you think is selling out could be like making an article about someone who did nothing wrong, or maybe of that nature, like Devin Finn. You have to make money. This dude is literally, his job is to make money talking shit about things that he thinks are wrong. These are all the magazines he's published for. NPR, Teen Life, Skydiving Source. Anyway, this guy's very high and mighty. I'm just high.
Ethics along the way, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. And I think that's really interesting. Have you observed? So this is obviously part of the attention economy, where the most important thing right now is like the way humans, or you as an individual, like put your attention. Like, people can make so much money off of grabbing your attention or promising others that they'll grab your attention. That's how advertising works. That's how like so much of social media scrolling works. The algorithms are built to keep your attention. Rage bait is built to get your attention and then engagement, as we said earlier. Do you see besides like rage bait, is there other ways that people are trying to use that attention economy? Like, are there other methods that are similar to rage bait that are popping up?
Rage bait or Lincoln, those are symptoms of the greater illness, which is just short form content overall. Like, I think, all short form content is problematic, whether it's, something overtly kind of vile, like some trashy rage bait thing, or it's like, hey, look at this colorful reel of like top.
Just because you get mad at people free soloing doesn't make it vile.
I'm gonna put this trendy audio on it, and I'm gonna make all these popping colors, and I'm gonna make it, the length, like everything, all the font's gonna be really fun, funky, and it's gonna.
That's because those specific qualities that you just mentioned, like colorful stuff or like fast, clicky things, are what your brain wants to see. If you wanted to see a long form, unedited video of the national parks, then it would show you it. But you don't want to see that shit because you would scroll because it's boring. So train your brain if you don't want to see that shit.
Just this really quick thing that you can look at so fast and then you can share really quickly. And I'm going to make this reel that's ostensibly about something positive, but I'm going to make it in a way that is designed to grab your attention and be really shallow and get you to share it super fast. And I think that has the veneer of being like a more positive, happy, friendly form of content.
I would argue that a long form or like a 5-page magazine article is not any less shallow. I mean, maybe it is if you put some fucking wise ass shit in there, but like reading a 5-page magazine article is not changing anyone's lives either, really. And they're not even reading the whole thing, probably.
I really think at the end of the day, it's just as bad because there's no depth. When I get on Instagram for 30 minutes and I scroll, whether I look at, terrible reels of awful stuff happening or, positive reels, I guess, of like funny puppies and kittens rolling around. Honestly, my brain doesn't feel any different when I get off. My brain still feels like it got sucked out of the back of my neck through a tube, So I don't think necessarily that. I think rage bait's one of the worst things in short form content. But the problem is short form content. I think there's a lot of creators out there that are kind of fooling themselves because they operate in this kind of positive sphere where they're like making cool, happy content, but it's still short, shallow, designed to be shared rapidly and not really.
Just because something is slightly longer, like a magazine that you're writing, does not mean that it's shallow. It isn't shallow. Like, bro, I think you're completely undervaluing video-based content because you're an article writer. And articles are not that sick. I'm sorry. By the way, check out my blog where I write articles.
For the people to engage with it in any meaningful depth, So yeah, and I see a lot of that type of content in the climbing world.
Because it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's right. All the listicles. And and some of the stuff that I end up writing for work is like that to an extent. I would make the argument that articles, even the worst article, is better than a video because it does require you to actually look at a page and follow words in a line. And
why is that better? Why is something being read that you have to read being better than something being read to you? If anything, it's a slower way to transfer information and less efficient. But also, if you're reading something that's a long form like book that can give you a story and teaches you lessons and certain things, that is valuable. But if you're like, especially the article that you wrote about me, it's just patronizing. If anything, that article is rage bait too, because anyone who supports me is becoming enraged as they read that. And I've had people text me like, this shit is annoying. Like, this is frustrating. So I don't know. This guy is acting like just because he writes words instead of saying words and editing them, that it's inherently better, but I would not agree really.
Focus, for some amount of time on one thing. But there's a ton of, everybody knows there's a ton of crappy writing out there. And all types of media are being affected by this.
For sure.
People love to say that whatever is going on right now is terrible and whatever was happening before was good. But have a fucking positive outlook for once and maybe think that maybe if everything was being written like how it was in the fucking 80s before social media or before any technology, like, why is that a better way to transfer information? It's probably not. And if one article gets written wrong it's almost better to have too much information than just one form that you have to take as gospel.
Honestly, like one of the things that I find really ironic about the short form media thing really taking off with climbing is just like, at least, I mean, I would say this is true even for bouldering or like shorter forms of climbing, but you just like need to have sustained focused attention in order to climb well, like in order to get into flow state or like project something or whatever. You do need to be able to like sustain attention, and all of these other short form things are destroying our attention or ability to like really focus or like have nuanced conversations or that sort of thing.
No, and I think, I mean, this is purely speculative, but I would go so far as to say that maybe that's why climbing, part of the reason why climbing has exploded. I think when you climb, even if you're just at the gym on like a 10-foot plastic wall, you really can't think about other stuff. I mean, you kind of can, but it very quickly, you do focus. Like you just have to focus. And I think that's one of the most appealing things about climbing as a sport. It's also why I like riding motorcycles, but it does force us to focus, and people are looking for that right now. We're all, destroying our brains every day with this crap, and we're looking for a way out, and climbing does offer that, which is super cool. It's also kind of ironic when we're talking about rage bait climbing and short form content climbing, but yeah.
Do you have any advice for people as they engage or come across rage bait out there? What are you personally doing now that you've gone down this rabbit hole? Or are you just letting it happen?
I just saw bro comment on a meme, bro. He's engaging all the rage bait. He's probably the easiest dude to rage bait, honestly.
We all know what we have to do, which is don't get on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts or whatever. I mean,
bro makes his living off Instagram Reels too.
Billboards, and you have to see it while you're driving down the highway. It is on your phone, and you choose to go on and have the app downloaded.
What if I made a rage bait billboard where you have to see it as you're driving down the highway, and it's just rage bait
on there and look at it? So I don't know. I mean, I'm failing too. I looked at Instagram for like 10 minutes this morning and I felt terrible afterwards. I don't know, but I am trying to be conscious about like what I choose to engage with and comment on and look at, like if I see something that I think is super lame, I do try to like scroll past it as quick as possible and not interact with it, even if it's like begging for me to comment something angry under it,
Right.
So I don't know, but I think everybody knows that, we're all fighting the same fight.
Yeah, totally. Any last thoughts or takeaways from the rage bait conversation?
No, I think, that kind of covered everything I have to say, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time and diving into such an interesting topic. General reaction has been to that article. We're here for, right? Identifying what's going on in climbing culture that needs like a voice put to it. So thank you for identifying.
Does this really need to be talked about by the American Alpine Club also? Like, what the fuck? Like, come on, guys.
That and like bring it into the conversation. Oh, I guess I did want to ask, like, do you know what the general reaction has been to that article?
Bro's about to cap so hard. Bro is literally about to cap his ass off like it's his profession.
Okay. I think it was actually divided between 3 camps. Positive, like nice work, dude. You should cool article. And then like a bunch of seemingly like teenage boys mostly that are just like you suck, like Lincoln rules, like just, or, so a bunch of those people sent me DMs just like F you, kind of like very shallow, but like criticism. And then
Bro, he's about to say, people didn't like that I gave him a platform by writing about him, but I already have the platform. I just needed a platform. Cut the clip. I just need a platform.
Signed my first deal. I signed the most fucked up deal in the world. Right. I don't give a damn. I just needed the platform.
Right. I already had the platform, okay? You didn't give me shit, bro. Your shit got like maybe 100K views. I'm sorry I get 11 mil a month, okay? So let's not pretend like you gave me any type of platform. All the climbers are already seeing my shit. So, anyway, for you to say that anyone who criticized your article was a dumb teenage boy is like me saying anyone who's ever criticized my videos is just a dumb old head climber who doesn't know who climbs, aid climbs, and 5'8" trad. Obviously, that's not true. Obviously, good people have criticized me as well, and good people have criticized your shitty-ass article.
I think more deeper criticism, which was like, oh, by writing an article about this, you are putting a spotlight on it, and you should have done that.
That's
and
not the deeper
only
criticism. The deeper criticism is that you were being patronizing at the end of the article for no reason. There was nothing good that came out of the article, and the only thing that you said in the article that was actually productive was nothing. I mean, it was fun to have Alex Honnold on there, but like, let people make their own decisions. You're basically spelling it out for them if it's good or bad.
Is just to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, which I don't agree with. I mean, I like, obviously if I was to like write articles every day about this and just keep putting it in the, like, that would be a bad tactic, right? But we can't just ignore everything bad in the world because we want to, stop giving it the limelight, right? Like, I think it's dressing.
You are not the limelight.
Yeah. But I get what people are saying when they try to say that. So those are the three reactions I got generally. Mm-hmm. And then I think, I was thinking when you said anything else that I have to say about rage bait, I think what I would like to say is, rage bait is asking you first to be enraged, right? To get pissed off. And then the logical response, once you get through that stage, is to not care and to just get so jaded that you stop caring. You see this terrible, crappy thing and it just doesn't matter to you. And you're so jaded that you just log off. Right. And I think we have to resist that urge. Like, I think that's the real tragedy. If people just get so numb to all this crap that we have to be intentional about how much we engage with it. Cause like the human brain can only take in so much of this junk before it like explodes. Right. But we can't not care. We can't all just log off and be like, yeah, everything's meaningless. It's all a joke. And, we have to stay in the fight a little bit. Yeah, I think that's my big takeaway. Don't let it make you numb, Don't let it piss you off, but don't let it make you numb either.
Right. Yeah. Do some emotional regulation there. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thank you so much, Owen. I'm super excited to see what else you put out there next, in Summit Journal, in climbing, and other places. So yeah, thanks for coming on and spending some time chatting about this.
Bro, what the hell? This was the worst podcast I've ever heard. Let's talk about what the American Alpine Club actually does, because I don't know anything. They talk about accidents. They give money to climbers for expeditions. But they only my friend got a grant of $1,000 from the American Alpine Club, but they said that he couldn't take any money from additional sponsors. So he would have to do his whole trip on $1,000, which he could not do. Hey, I'm fucking Lincoln Clowns, bitch, and I gotta fucking switch. Damn. And you know that I'm getting rich. Hella. And you know I'ma fuck your bitch. You ain't even know it. Hey, and I'm climbing all this shit. I might go up on your I might pull up on the Glock. Then I'm doing squash strut. 11 beat. It's some better ad-lib. Yeah, and you know I'm on that shit. I climb 5'10", even if it's not crack. I'll do a face climb, yeah, I'm on that. And my friend is Gio, and he knows how to rap.
No, I do not, and I fucking hate crack. I ain't talking about that injection shit. Only Lincoln Climbs be doing steroids. No ad. Don't talk to him about it, though.
Bro, why would you expose that I do steroids? Please don't tell the internet that. Yeah. If your name is Owen Clark, you more like Owen Nark.
Damn.
And I'm about to blow your Owen spark. And I got an Owen Lark.
That's a bird.
It's a lark.
Lark is a bird.
Hey. And my battery's about to die. I don't even know what. Okay, guys, my battery's actually about to die. Let's have a serious moment, okay? Just because you are making articles instead of short form social media doesn't make your internet presence any more valid than mine. And I believe that short form reels are actually have the possibility of being positive. And I'm sure that people have been inspired to start climbing and going outside. So you should be thankful that I'm introducing new people to the sport. And for you to say that teenage boys are the only one that criticized your article is simply not true, because I know many mature, smart people who criticize your article, such as Cedar Wright. So hop off my... Okay, I'm just kidding. You seem like a nice guy. Okay, I'm not going to diss you. Or maybe I am. Diss track number 2.
What could you rhyme with?
Yeah, I'm Lincoln Climbs. Yeah, I should be Lincoln Rhymes. We got some house. Yeah, I free solo 5'11". And soon I might go to heaven. I might die, but you know that won't happen, because if it did, then your girl would cry. Oh.